Okay, we're in.
Woo. All right. Welcome, 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 ladies and everyone who is jumping on to join us today. Thank you for being here and super excited to get and launch into creativity as a connective practice. Before I introduce these amazing ladies and authors of this unapologetic book, I would love to drop us into our breath and into our bodies to give us a little bit of embodiment into our topic today, and then we can launch into all the discussion and who we have here today. So I'm going to pop on a little bit of music and guide you through a bit of exploration, starting with our breath. All right, if you can bring your hands to your heart, closing down your eyes, and starting with a deep breath in. Let it go. And again, breathe it in. Let it go. I want to take you to a time, a long time ago, where there was a big bang and all of the particles burst out and started manifesting and creating all that we see today, including ourselves. In your imagination, I invite you to see all of this right first light. Just as you and we can do our inner child part of this, we can imagine and create ourselves. So as you see all of this unfolding and happening, explosions, particles coming together to create, I invite you to feel in to the creation of yourself. From the first egg and sperm coming together into all of the cells that then created your human body. And feeling into the magic and power of this creation. Allow you to be here in this moment. Taking another deep breath in, feel your presence right here. Hands and body together, really right here in this moment. I invite your hands to slowly come away from your heart. Allow yourself to be present and breathing and life. And from here, if you feel like it, you don't have to, but if you would like to, this song is dedicated to embodying your wonderful creative self. So if you had the space, you might like to stand up, or you can stay seated and let this music move through your body however it wants to. Again, it's not too simple, still following your heart and just doing a little sway. That's perfect. Just give yourself a little bit of time to connect in with your beautiful rest of today.
Shown together the common light, the light of love. I am that I am, that I am alive, unstoppable love. I am that I am, that I am light, unfadable light. I am that I am, that I am joy, unstoppable joy. I am that I am, that I am, that I am, unstoppable joy. If all the eyes began to see the mystery of love unfolded in the perfection of you and me. I wonder what might happen if all the hearts that felt the pulse would dance together to the rhythm of one song and sing united as one voice, the voice of love. I am that I am, that I am love, unstoppable love. I am that I am, that I am light, unfadable light. I am that I am, that I am joy, unstoppable joy. I am that I am, that I am, that I am, unstoppable joy.
Unstoppable joy, 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 unstoppable joy.
I am that I am, that I am love.
I am what I am.
I am that I am, that I am light. I am that I am, that I am joy.
Unstoppable joy.
I am that I am, that I am, that I am, unstoppable joy.
Mm. Ah. Welcome back. You might need a drink of water. Oh. Mm. All right.
Awesome.
Feeling.
I didn't know I needed a dance.
I got the juices flowing.
Yeah, thanks for joining in with my crazy ideas and crazy expressions. So all right, let's jump in, introduce everyone, and then we'll start with our first question. So to begin, we have Naomi Wild. She's a visual artist, yoga teacher, shamanic practitioner, and transpersonal psychotherapist, a leader on the path to courageous soulfulness. Welcome, Naomi. Then we have Catherine Linda, life mentor whose superpowers are seeing ordinary mum life through an extraordinary lens and embodying the full spectrum of being a woman. Woo! Then we have Shara, intuitive abstract artist, psychic and elemental witch, meditation coach and holistic integrated creative arts therapist. Welcome, Shara. And then we have Natalie. Natalie is a light leader activator, spiritual well-being mentor, founder of Centaura Ascension Energy Healing and sacred architect for the light, here to activate your next level greatness and guide you to your full divine expression and embodiment of your gifts, magic, and medicine in this life and business. And then you have myself. For those who haven't met me before or this is your first time, my name is Odell Wolfenden, and I facilitate ecstatic dance. I didn't have that in my list here, but that is probably a perfect introduction to the free flow of movement. And also a facilitator of sacred journeys, and I'm here to help guide those who are willing to remember, activate, and embody your full, wild, soulful self. All right, and with that, let us jump in. Yes, let's bow to each of ourselves. So the start part then, it was just this, I felt this desire to give us an idea of the immense amount of creative power that it takes to birth and bring us all here into this moment, and then what we are created from already exists as an imprint within us to then birth on and on and on outside of our vessel as well. So today is going to be a big exploration on that and the journey to creativity, any of the challenges along the way, and how we can be more creative in our beautiful life that we have. So to kick us off, I would love to put out the question to our lovely ladies here. Was there a time where you didn't feel creative and perhaps it was shut down, and why?
I'm happy to speak to that. I actually go through that intermittently, and I really want to name that to me is a real part of the creative process. Sometimes it's because I'm not listening and I'm not tuning into some of the deeper places within me, I'm not giving room to some of the parts that need reclaiming, or there's something about the fact that I'm blocking myself, and I like even run a course on that, on like accessing that creative center and being intentional about it. And I guess because I'm an artist in many forms, I go in and out. It's like there's an undulating, just like life, it's breath, like there are times where I have just 1,000 ideas and I've got all of this fire and I'm putting things in the world. And then there are times where I honestly wake up and I'm like, I couldn't do a thing if you paid me. And sometimes I am paid and I still feel like I can't do a thing. But, there's just, I feel like there's the ebb and flow that's really important to honor. And I feel like that there's even needs to be a recognition that sometimes it's that thing of like the seed under the soil, you know, like there is stuff going on, there is ruminating in my being, there is you know, there are things kind of like incubating and working themselves out in the unseen places that will come through and do generally come through into a powerful place. But it just needs that it needs to sit in the darkness. It needs to have the parts of itself broken down that are no longer going to help it stay in the seed, because that's done, you know. Yeah.
Beautiful, thank you. I love that. I feel like it's so true. Yeah.
I think there are so many ways that we can be creative, that sometimes people get very focused on the visual arts or performing arts types elements. They feel like it has to have an outcome that other people see as a creation. But you can be creative in the way you prepare meals for yourself or your family. You can be creative in the way you use numbers, the way you manage your finances, the things that you do every day. Because I don't think there is a single person who follows this single step process through everything. There's always something that goes, I can change this, I can do this, I can make it better for myself. And for me, that is being creative. The way you express yourself, the way you respond to music, even the way you respond to art.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's such an important point. Thanks, Shara. Yeah. And we'll go more into that too, because I kind of feel like that piece around the ways of being creative, I think that can be cracked open even more into ideas and things for how we can let it ride through our lives and our bodies. Yeah, Catherine, do you want to go?
I was just going to say that when Naomi was speaking, I was thinking, you know, I had this big dormant seed period in my life where I felt like I wasn't a creative person. I had that label for myself. But hearing Shara, I guess I just didn't create in a way that I thought was the right way to create. And so what I guess I thought was a dormant period was actually not, because I still created a meal for myself every day. So we are creative even if we think we're not.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, creation is flow, right? So we can create flow in all different aspects of our life, and allowing that to flow through us and through our voices and all sorts of different things, which I know we'll touch on. But it's such a beautiful journey of discovering what makes you joyful within the moment of, you know, creating. And that could be in your relationships. It could be baking a cake. I remember the pivotal moment for me was when I was teaching art to a bunch of women, and all of them were so stressed out being in this class, and they were like, they'd put themselves in a little box and gone, oh, okay, it has to be perfect. And it's moving past that perfect into flow, which really allows us to experience the creativity in so many different parts. And I said to them, okay, today we're going to play. That's what we're going to do. We're going to just simply put our hands in the paint, and we're going to splash paint all over this canvas. And I'm going to give you some words: love, freedom. And I'd love for you to paint what that feels like. Man, did we have fun, right? And it was in that moment of creation. And afterwards, they were just, wow, I did that. I never thought that I was capable of having so much fun creating something that was completely easy, because we make it harder than what it should be, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I feel like the moment that I stopped creating was when I limited myself, you know, in any way or form, to have fun, to play, to experience, to express myself. Yeah.
And Tali, it was for yourself in that in your personal journey, was there like a turning point that you had in your kind of creative expression that you can remember, and what that was like for you?
Oh, yes. Dance crying or cry dancing, whatever you want to call it. I literally was dancing from when I was very young, and I loved it. I used to flow and just go into my own world when I was younger. Literally was dancing from when I was and I shut that.
Sorry.
I'm hearing myself. It's all right. I shut that down, I suppose, because there's a lot of like, judgment, like that sense of doubting yourself coming in. But I remember the moment where I felt this intense feeling that I had to dance, that I had to move, and I put on James Arthur, I think it's the drum song. And I was up in my lounge and I just started moving, and I started, shaking my hips and everything. And that creative flow that came through me, and I had a massive expansive experience in my solar plexus. Like I was literally taking back my power through dance, which is that creative flow, opening the channels. And it was in that moment that I remembered how much I loved being in that creative flow, how much I loved dancing. And it was very much almost like an awakening for me as well. And now I teach dance, I teach soul dance, and it's just so beautiful to express yourself in that way. Yeah, that was definitely the moment. And my husband came upstairs and he was like, "What are you doing?" And I was literally, my face was all swollen. I was crying my eyes out. I was shaking my hips like no one's watching. It was just the most beautiful experience ever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a relief.
Yeah, it was.
And does anyone else feel called to jump on to the end of that one of your transformative moment, with what the turning point was for you personally?
Mine was way longer than that, not like one moment I could just go and dance. I talk a little bit about in my story how I had to be reminded by multiple teachers and coaches and women that dance is important and moving your body is important as a feminine being. And I had to be told so many times, and I had to take little tiny steps through my, I guess, discomfort in that. Like I started dancing in my bedroom with the door closed. I would close my eyes even though I couldn't see myself. I was like, I had to hide from myself. And then eventually I turned the light on, and then I went out into the lounge room and got my kids dancing as well. And then eventually I went to Adele's dance class. So it was definitely months and months for me to be able to feel comfortable in my own skin to dance freely.
Thank you.
Mine's a bit more about being able to express myself in a way that other people can see. I had shut myself down for a long time. I might colour in a little bit. I mean, I was doing all the stuff for the family, but it was so focused around all of those work, kids, running the household, getting the finances under control, and just I felt like a robot. And then we had, like, I'd always struggled with my mental health, and my kids started having some major issues, and my middle child was self-harming and had an eating disorder and spent 6 months in an adolescent psychiatric facility. And the way I got a lot of that out of myself was I painted. I did this huge, massive, I think the canvas is like 1.5 meters by 1 meter. And it's an interplay of black and white with some spots of colour, but you can't tell what is the dominant colour. So it's, and I've called it overcome, because it's, are you being overcome or are you overcoming? Because some of the time there's no real difference. You're in that place and you're just trying to fight through. And that was a huge release for me to, one, be able to get stuff out of my body but also to understand that I don't have to create in the way that other people say I should. I don't have to do still life. I don't have to paint people or landscapes. I can express using color and texture and light and movement in a way that I connect with, that makes me feel. And since that time, the reason I've studied the things that I have is because there are a lot of people that don't communicate in the same way, that don't respond to traditional things and traditional modern medicine, traditional things like cognitive behavioral therapy. And art therapy is about the process. Like Natalie was saying, it's not about having a perfect canvas and being able to see every detail of a flower or something. It's about what you do and how you feel, and having play and energy and release of emotion.
Yeah, on the back of that, that's just perfect, Shara. Like, really, I just love that, you know, that process, like on the back of what you're saying. Like, it is, isn't it? It's about the doing, being, rather than the outcome. And I think, you know, I mean, it's great that we tap straight, you know, into that idea of anything is creative, and any way of expression really has got creativity in it. And I too work with a lot of people in that way, and the fear in them, I guess, around giving themselves permission. And I feel like I was sitting here just listening, thinking, yeah, this idea of unapologetic flavors in our creativity, to me, is around permission, you know, permission to not worry if your husband thinks you're weird dancing in the lounge room crying, you know, or your bedroom, and just slow, like even when we were dancing, like just now, I was like, oh, I'm on the screen and I'm dancing. Okay, don't worry. Because you know, but your brain does these little things because we're conditioned. And I guess part of what we're doing is we're breaking these conditions, and we're saying, no, this is within me, and it needs to just come through me. It doesn't matter what it looks like. And I think for me, like, my whole life was creative. Like, I've always been the artist. I've come to a point where I'm like, I am the art, you know, like, it doesn't even matter what the outcome is. It is just the being. But slowly but surely, it's been more levels of permission. That's what it's about. And I feel like that's often what I hear most from people, is that they haven't allowed themselves to feel like they can have permission, because they have an idea of a product that needs to be created. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say, there's been so many times during this process, and particularly with the roundtables and the lives that we've been doing, where I've felt like saying, oh, I'm sorry. And then I've gone, hang on, this is about being bloody not apologetic. I'm not apologizing for who I am. If I do something wrong and I stuff something up, that's completely different. But just for being me, I'm done with that.
Yeah, I love that breakdown, because I actually, someone had, in this like lead up to the launch of this book, someone had written a post about like how the flavor at the moment is being unapologetic, and it was a breakdown of like, you know, how we need to be able to say sorry. And so that, what you just shared, Shara, is like the perfect example of, it's not about not saying sorry, because, you know, we fuck up, we're humans and we make mistakes, and you've got to say sorry, because it's, you know, that helps the healing process. But it's the part where we're like, this is me, like, this is my expression of who I am, and I'm not going to apologize for being me. And breaking down all of that conditioning around what is okay and what's not okay. And the only reason it's not okay is because we haven't seen it yet. You know, we haven't. It's like, if everyone's dancing on the street, then everyone's dancing on the street, and it's not weird anymore, is it?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things we talked about in the neurodiversity and disability discussion yesterday was the concept of the social model of disability. And what that is basically we are disabled because society isn't built for us. And it's the same thing. We're different. We do things that people see as crazy or creative or innovative because that's not the way society has been built. But if it was slightly tilted another way, it wouldn't be not normal. It wouldn't be different. It'd just be.
Absolutely.
I feel like when you surround yourself with people who are your people, then that immediately becomes irrelevant because you are around whatever is okay and everything goes. And then you kind of forget that other people don't live in that little bubble of anything goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so on the topic of expressing about how we embody our creativity, what are there any other ways that you embody it that you would like to express right now?
Yeah, I'll share if that's okay. Well, actually, it is okay that I share. Owning it. Yeah, one way that I express my creativity is through light language or soul speak, and it weaves into toning, into music and frequency, harmonizing and rebalancing, and it is the most beautiful, I feel, gift that I can give myself, because it's healing for myself and healing for other people. And soul speak is something that is within us, all of us. It's that creative flow, that soul essence that flows through us, that's simply being expressed through words or sound or toning or whatever, that frequency, our essence of our soul. And so when I speak, soul language, it is that creative essence within me amplified times 1,000, because I'm being supported by the creator, the universe as such. And it is this most beautiful, beautiful gift. That's all I can say, that we can share. Yeah, so that's certainly something that I had to embody, because when you start speaking in strange language, you doubt yourself as a human being. Am I expressing myself? Am I actually saying something that makes sense? But it's working on a soul level, so we don't even have to worry about it, right? Yeah. And when it was activated, it came from such a deep place, from my power center, my heart. And it felt like I wanted to speak up, be heard, in a completely different way. So it was really honoring that. And it was a journey of fully embodying that way of being creative again, not just in the normal, which is seen as normal, right? Which is the normal ways of art, expressing yourself through art or baking or whichever way, dance. And this gets weaved into all of those. So, when you let your channel open and you let that flow through you, then that creativity gets expressed in many different ways, not just through your voice as such. Yeah.
I want to flow on the back of that one, because I'm just so grateful you brought it up, because this has been such a recent kind of explosion into my life as well. Really from the Lionsgate portal last year, which, in previous years, that term and that time meant nothing to me. But last year, I don't often know what things are coming up, but in terms of events. But last year, I felt it so intensely through my body. It's almost like when you start opening the channel of creativity, it opens and then it opens and then it opens, and you're like, wow, the whole world is in front of me. So that kind of the light language and the soul language started to come through, and I was up in a tree, in this big fig tree that I'd been journeying in for like maybe 2 months. Like I would just go and visit it every day. I just kept getting called to go and sit in this tree and like be there. And then all of a sudden I was like, for like a good hour or two, I was just like, some would probably want to come out now, but I just won't right now. come through later. And yeah, I mean, and there'd be like some people walking at the base of the tree, but in that pure like expression and essence, I didn't care. I was like, what? This is so crazy. And there were all different voices, and I was like, I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. And I recorded some of them, and then it was a progressive journey from that point, which was August last year, of allowing it to be in my daily life. And now I just, you know, it's just there, and that part of my throat, and opening my throat and coming more into singing and sounding has been such a healing practice. Like, I can't even describe the like, once I'd sort of you know, our whole channel's connected, of course, but once I'd activated through the lower centers and actually allowed myself to go to that place, because I kind of lived so much like up here for the first part of my life, I went down there and then activated through these juices, and then it just rose up, and then it all just seemed to now want to come out my mouth. So yeah, I'm just so grateful for that. And yeah, thank you for speaking about it. And if there's any that want to come out through this call, please just let it be in the call. Anyone else?
Oh, sorry.
No, you go, Naomi.
I think there's like a bit of a delay sometimes, and so it's hard to know. Yeah. Thanks, Shara. Look, I feel like, you know, there really isn't much that I don't do anymore. You know, like there's all sorts of mediums, and I guess that's the thing. We get stuck on medium, like we get kind of like, oh, okay, it's got to look like a certain thing, and people ask me constantly, oh, so what do you do? You know, are you a painter? And I'm like, I paint, I make textile work, I do performance art, I, you know, play music, I write poetry, and I write, you know, and there's just so much, so many formats. But and I think this is what you guys were just really touching on, what seems to be more important than even what it ends up looking like is how it's coming through. And like, for me, there's a strong power of symbolic language, and, you know, using our awareness. Particularly a lot of earth wisdom comes through, like a lot of Dadiri, like deep listening work. So, you know, this morning I was taking a walk to just kind of ground this energy, and I call myself a visionary creatrix in the book, and that was a big title to take, like to own, to kind of go, okay, yep, that's me. And there were two eagles that like a pair that were at this waterhole area that's it's an artificial lake out here, actually, because we're in the desert. But I go there all the time, and I've never seen eagles there. And eagles are the symbol of the visionary, you know. And so it was really powerful to kind of tune in. And in that sense, it feels like it's a conversation, like ongoing. It feels like it's a relationship with life, this creativity, far more, and being open to allowing it to just take whatever form it needs to take in the moment. Like Shara was saying, you know, whether that's just, I mean, I remember when my little kid, I have 4 kids, and when they were younger, I had no time for anything really. So I would make mandalas out of the fruit, and, you know, just whatever that looks like. So yeah, I love that we've tapped into that idea of not just the medium, but the flavor.
Beautiful. I love that woven in.
My previous life was a federal public servant, which is fairly boxed in. And I did a lot of work around developing programs and policies, and then became a change manager. So very focused on IT, but the people side of that, how that was actually impacting them, how to get adoption and uptake and reinforcement and all of those sort of things. That for me did allow me to be creative and connected and supporting people, because the reason I stayed in the department that I did was because it was a social policy department. I was there for nearly 30 years because I wanted to do things that had a positive outcome for the population. And it's very difficult to do that as a single public servant. But I could develop policies, I could build funding programs within the framework, and I could be creative within that about how it was applied. But then the problem was how that went up, and everything would sort of get tamped down, and I would be told that I wasn't doing things in the right way. And yeah, but the change management stuff, being able to do that and see more of the impact, because as a federal public servant, you're quite distanced from what the actual outcomes are. You're not delivering things on the ground. You're not engaged with the actual people that it's impacting. But doing change management could, and that is also part of the reason I've started. Well, I start next week as an arts therapist in a counselling service near me, and it's a huge shift. I medically retired 18 months ago because I wasn't functioning. I could hardly move. Everything I did, I wasn't painting because it was too painful to hold brushes. And now I've got 2 paintings on the go behind me.
You! A little celebration. Oh, I just want a close up of that painting behind you. It's so beautiful.
Hang on. I will
Yes.
bring her in.
Oh, please do. Let us soak up her glory. Oh. Wonder if I can pin. I don't know if I can do that. Let's try. No. Wowza. Amazing. Thanks, Shara.
I'll share a photo of her in the group.
Please do. Okay, so I want to touch on and dive into why is it so important for us to let creativity come through us? Why is it so important, either personally or collectively? What is Shara, you obviously just spoke about the power of creativity, of the healing potential of letting it kind of come through you and to now be in this place. And so I'd love to hear what else we feel. Why is it so important?
Yeah, I think that in the more intentional creativity activities that I do, I feel like I gain a lot of healing from it, like writing in my journal, and also writing this book, and I'm writing another that's more expanded on my life. And I find that like just amazingly healing to be able to I guess relive things, but in a creative way, relive an experience and kind of make sense of it, or not make sense of it. I think sometimes when I'm doing ecstatic dance, I get like beautiful messages and I'm like, oh, that's what I needed to hear. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I just purged all this energy. What was that? No idea. Don't really need to know. So I think there's so much healing in different creativities if we allow it.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that, Catherine. And also so much joy to be had in it, isn't there? So much happiness and joy from that, because it's like we embodying who we are. We're living from our essence. We're experiencing that through our physical experiences in our relationships, in our life, in our business, and everything that we do. So it's part of us. And I just was, whilst you were talking, I was thinking about back in the Lemurian times, where they celebrated each other's creativity through play, by playing with each other. And I touched on this earlier on, and it's who we are, but we easily deny that. We deny ourselves that. And that comes from, judgment, and it comes from being our worst critics, I suppose, and looking at ourselves with, I'm too wobbly to dance, or I can't dance, I can't create, but that is our true essence. And and I guess truly embodying that, in whichever small part you want to, as long as it brings you joy, as long as it makes you feel happy. And Naomi, you said such a beautiful thing, I am art. And I think that in that lies so much magic and so much wisdom, where we have to truly look at ourselves with so much love and look at all the parts of us that's coming together to make this beautiful body that we have, to make this beautiful personality, energy, identity, whatever it is. And just shine that out, man. If someone doesn't like your light, give them a pair of sunglasses. Just let that shit shine. All right. So it doesn't matter. Just be yourself. Yeah. You be the art. If you want to create, if you want to paint your body, if you want to do whatever, just let it be. Hang it out. Let it hang out.
I think the more we do that, the next generation sees that it's okay. Like, I don't really remember, seeing my mom dance, or seeing my mom just sit down and do some painting for the sake of it. So I think, as we embody it and have it just as part of our journey of life, then the next generation sees that and it normalizes it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Naomi?
Yeah. My brain was going somewhere, and then Catherine said something about seeing her mum, not seeing her mum do things. And I really, my mum and I don't always see everything eye to eye, but I am really blessed in that she was an art teacher, and I did grow up with that in my world all the time. And that's probably why I am immersed completely, in an artist style life, or whatever you want to call it. What even is that? But it is, you're right. So when we see it, then we create it. And all of my 4 children are creative, so that's exciting. So to have permission to have it normalized, like what you were saying, Odell, around if we don't see it, then we don't believe that it's a possibility. So I think, we touched on this as well in our talk yesterday. It was around that idea of, we give permission for other people to be unapologetic, and in that sense of being fully themselves. I know, for me, in a lot of the work that I do, so I offer, I do a lot of art therapy programs, and I for myself and for the people that I work with, the landscape that we explore through, and I like to call it mark making. I like to take it right away from even being art making. It's mark making, or it's expression, or it's soul expression. It's the deep world within that needs to come through, that we just don't always have words for. We don't understand necessarily. Sometimes we don't have anything other than, some people just will talk to me about the heavy brown feeling that's sitting on their chest, or or the energy of like the discomfort that they're carrying, in their womb, or any number of ways that they might express it. And so we give that voice, we give that a place to actually be seen, be welcomed, and we also have room then to have it like owned home, like back, like call it home. And so there's this beautiful, I'm in awe constantly of the way in which, when we just create some space and give some permission for what needs to be shown, named, rebirthed, reclaimed, like it all just happens. And people come in, and I do believe that I'm good at what I do, but I kind of feel like I'm really in service of the process, and helping the people that I walk with to access their own deep wisdom, their own worlds that are looking for reconciliation, their own, like, whatever's going on for them, their own soul's knowledge. And the amount of times that I just see such transformation, like profound. Like, I was working with someone even just last year for about 6 months, who basically, I mean, you know, they were saying to me that I'd been pivotal in their life being completely changed from the inside out. And I always, you know, offer that back to them, because they have taken the courage to actually sit with all that is unseen, you know, and to journey with it and to invite it in, and sometimes to make it seen enough so that they can love it. Like, even if it's, you know, I totally agree with that, it needs to be joyful, but sometimes it's a pretty shitty place to actually make some marks that are the deep yearning of grief, or, you know, the process that needs to happen to kind of give it shape, maybe give it breath, give it love. Essentially it comes back to giving it love. Yeah. So I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but it just, there's so much to be said for the healing power. So much to be said. I've seen people, you know, recreate themselves from being completely unable to function and not be able to leave their bedroom to being like powerhouses in the world. So yeah, I'm in awe of it.
Yeah, you touched on something super important. I just feel like, you know, you're so many things you said there, but you know, the courage it takes to actually step into the realms of choosing it for yourself. And I guess it's that sometimes I kind of feel like it's like the rip the band-aid off type of thing, where you can so long be like, okay, I know what I need to do. I just need to go and do that thing. And like, you know, we could go for like days, weeks, months, years, just like holding off on that one thing that you've just had that message come through that it needs to happen. So then, yeah, the celebration of someone actually like taking that step and knowing that, you know, there's a reason why there's a resistance. You know, you're not always going to have the light just be like, oh, this is great. It's like, oh shit, there's a whole lot of stuff inside here that that probably wants to come out. So yeah, I just wanted to give more voice to that like courageous piece of when you're delving into the realms of creativity, then oftentimes it is such a healing piece, which means that emotions arise, and then we're dealing with having to process emotions, which I think is the reason why it is so epic to have people to hold us in that. You know, I don't think I could have done half the stuff and be where I am right now without being held in containers or by certain people that could just hold me in my mess, because it's been messy. It's been really messy. I'm not gonna lie. But it's worth every bit of tear, and it's worth every bit of pain to be here. Let us fly into what do you feel like is the best thing from being creative, or like the best gift, or something that has come out for you from being courageous and going into it?
Self-love.
Say it again.
Self-love.
I just wanted to hear it louder.
Self-love.
Yeah.
Connection. The things that I create allow me to connect better with myself, with my subconscious, my unconscious, but also connect with other people. They can see things in what I create. They can feel some of that emotion, and that helps them to build a bridge.
Yeah, I feel the same. Definitely self-love and connection, but it's given me permission to truly see myself in a completely different way. You know, peel away those masks of our perception, and to stand naked and unafraid, sometimes very afraid as well. You know, really looking in the mirror and going, holy shit, this is me, right? With all in all my glory. Yeah, just that permission, that, and with that comes connection, deep self-love, a deep passion, yeah, and desire. And it's interesting because that is what brought me to the work that I'm doing right now, which is to activate people's creator codes, because we all hold the codes of creation within us. And being able to, those ones that's a little bit dormant or that's not been fully activated because of these shadows and these things that's sitting within us, really revealing, discovering all those juicy parts of us and it's a lot of energetic work, but yes, it's also truly seeing ourselves and doing the work, actually going there to those uncomfortable spaces and doing the work. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that vision and that feeling, and that I've had through my experience of just being like, oh, that's a way better way to describe who I am. Like, I think I spent so long trying to write a bio, and I think, Naomi, you touched on this about like, how do you describe yourself? And I think creativity has given me a way and tools to express it out into the world without having to, put the labels on who I am and being like, oh, actually, I'm just going to be here and this is my label. And and knowing that, like, how you see me in this moment, like yesterday I was like a whole nother me. That's what it feels like. I was on the call yesterday with a few of you ladies, and like I was in tears and I was wearing something else and it looked completely different, and today I've got this golden light shining on me and I'm like radiating joy. That's how it feels. But yeah, I just feel like there's so many, the creativity and the way that we can express is just, it allows me to feel like I'm being seen for actually who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I totally agree with you, actually, that it's that way of being. For me, it's actually kind of the gift in it is so deep. Like, I just cannot separate that from who I am in any way. It's just, it has given me the capacity to explore. Like, I've often called myself a human explorer, because I feel like, even as in my bios and things in the past, it's like, that's the most relevant thing. I'm a human explorer, because I'm exploring relationships. I'm exploring, pain. I'm exploring like sensuality. I'm exploring nature. Like, anything that comes to me, I'm connecting with it, like you were saying, Shara, and I'm in exploration. So it's this curiosity that comes with creativity. And I think, like, the more, I don't think about it as much now, but for a very long time, it was having that curiosity and having that way of being gave me a way to be alive in a world that I didn't really necessarily understand, because there was this paradigm that was all kind of straight lines and, had its kind of shape. And I was like, my world is so much more colorful, so much more dimensional, so much more, so it gave me room for that. And I think the reasons why I had like intense chronic depression and mental health issues and, deep like traumas that influenced my life for a very long time were because I was still trying to reconcile that. And when I really gave over and went, okay, I am this is me and I'm like fully inhabiting this, like this in every moment, like I am the art. That has been probably the most powerful gift. Like, it's just it's a very big question you've placed. Thank you. It's great, and it's so wonderful to hear, like, all of this feels like it's all the same, like the self-love and the connection and it's just I love this topic.
Well, it is, right? And I think when we come down to it, and this is the most exciting part, is that when we start peeling back the layers and we journey right back to the start of our call today, where we journeyed up into the stars and the bang, where everything came from one thing, that's literally every moment is this moment of like, through the conversation, through the stories, are like portals, and the creativity is portals back to yourself to remember that we are all one thing, just in different expressions. And by seeing everyone's fullest expression, we give that permission, because it's all mirrors and it's all just reflecting off one another. And I think that's where the freedom lies, that's where the liberation lies, is in like, oh, nothing's wrong, like the way you express is not wrong, and like I'm not right and you're not wrong, and then we allow this togetherness to come back, because it's all perfect, it's all divine, because it is what it is. And it's just magic. Like, how much does it light you up when you see someone kind of being their full self? It's yeah, I mean, of course, sometimes it can be triggering also if there's things in you that you haven't been able to work through yet. It can be triggering to see someone in their full expression, because it's like, you know, I maybe don't feel like I can do that right now, but at the same time, it's a gift and a like, but if we can go past that point of like, of it being a trigger, the triggers become the teachers, and the teachers are the gifts of how we can, yeah, come into our epicness more and more. So I want to probably go for one more question. This one is a is a kind of a parting prayer, or like an intention or a vision that you see for other humans, beings, souls out there, of yeah, in terms of creativity and what you can see for everyone on the world, in the world, and who you serve.
Yeah, the one that just pops into my head straight away is, I am all that I am. I am creator, I am creatrix. I am, yeah.
I feel like it is time to move through the fear. The fear of being different, the fear of anything really. I think there are so many of us that just live in a space of fear, whether or not that be rejection or financial or security or whatever. And that is how most of our governments seem to be run at the moment. And we don't have that space of joy and acceptance and community with individuality. That, I think, is what we need for the world to actually move forward.
My wish is for everyone to just take one tiny step towards something creative, and know that you can change what you're trying, because not everything is going to feel good for you. But if you can dip your toe into a few different things, eventually you'll find something that lights your soul up. And yeah, you can pursue that and then dive deep into that and find healing and pleasure from creativity.
Play without perfection.
Yeah, wow, that's massive. It's like, how can I top any of these things? I mean, not that it's about topping, you know, how can I come with anything else? Yeah, look, I guess coming back to, you know, why we're sitting here together, that we all took on this sense of exploring what it means to be unapologetic. And I know, like, just through our journeys with one another, you know, we've all had to face a variety of things in that process. But it was essentially that first step that I know I took, and I think I've heard this through some of our conversations, that was essentially about giving ourselves permission, you know, and I guess giving yourself permission is a form of self-love, you know, it is a form of the opposite of fear. Like, and you know, one of my teachers was talking about the opposite of fear and anxiety being about trust. So just feeling into, like, take a breath and trust that I can make my salad look pretty on the plate, even, you know, like, just anything, like you say. I guess it's coming back to what Natalia was saying, like, trust that it is in you. Like, it's not something you do, it is in you. That's probably, yeah, I know that's around the world kind of way of explaining it, but it feels too big to give one word to, sorry.
I didn't say one word. You can.
Oh.
No, you go for it, girl. Beautiful. The first thing that comes up is I see and desire for everyone to remember themselves as the creative being that they are, which I feel like just amplifies what you just shared, Naomi. And I remember writing in my book at one point where I felt so stagnant and so stuck. I literally just wrote in the middle of my book, I am the creator. And then from that, I just exploded stuff onto the page. And I was like, yes, I am. I'm the creator. And I kind of had that thing about, like, I'm the creator of my life. And, you know, that sounds very godlike or goddess-like, but it's, you know, ultimately it is, like, our words and our expressions is energy, and it flows out. And at the end of my book chapter, I have a poem in there called Embody the True You. I think that's what it's called. And so it's this, like, yeah, just this a poem that I feel is that's my prayer for us to celebrate our truest expression as we reclaim the full expression. And I'm going to attempt to sing this new song that I've just created, because every time you kept saying yourself as art, I was like, that's a line in the song I just wrote. So I'm going to try and remember the words, because I didn't bring my book with me. Goes like this. You were showing up, being seen, howling at the moon, trusting in the letting go, not a moment too soon. You hear the whispers, the subtle guidance of the way, so you spread your powerful wings, dissolving the fears away. You tune in deeper to the portal of your heart, and there is no mistaking yourself as pure art. Though your voice may shake and your body tremble, your soul, your soul, your soul rises strong.
That's beautiful, darling.
Got tears in my eyes, actually. That was gorgeous.
That's so gorgeous.
Thank you. Is there anything else that's burning on your hearts right now that feels like it just needs to be birthed out into this call? Do you feel complete? Is there any questions, Naomi, that have come up along the way in the live that we can?
There hasn't been actually. No questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll close the space, and with that, I feel to close it with some breaths all together and letting ourselves settle down into the earth and into into that support, rising up from the earth so that we can feel that love and feel that support so we can go out and be our creative selves. Closing down your eyes, hands to your heart, taking a deep breath in. Let it go with a sigh. One more time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and to everyone who's here and watching or watching the replay. I hope you got what you needed today, and yeah, may the journey flow on. So much love.
Thanks,
Thank
Adele.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you. Mwah. Lots of love.